Okay, so I got into the cement plant by lying with the truth. I basically walked right in there, and when they were asking me what I was doing there, I was like, "Well, my name is Amanda, and I live in Pennsylvania, but I'm thinking about moving to the area. I work at a warehouse. I'm just checking out area job opportunities, so on and so forth." And then I drove out to Badlands. So this is going to be the last of my South Dakota vlogs. And I hope you enjoy it. It's a reading. It's from my new novel, Janus. It's a work in progress. Um, this video is for Carlos Simone and Mike Connell and Lindsay Patterson of United Steelworkers Local 286. All my homies in organized labor. Um, so I did a union campaign at a restaurant where I worked, and they were my leads. Um, I never understood why right wingers are so averse to the formation of unions, but then will go to bat for the health insurance industry. Because basically, both operate off of the same economic principle, which is the collectivization of risk. Okay, liability insurance for workers is expensive. If you're having a problem with your supervisor, if you're injured, if you lose your job, if you become obsolete, you need to bank as much as you can before that happens. So I just always thought being in a union made good financial sense. In the same way that having health insurance makes good financial sense, or at least it used to. I think it's anyway. See my IUD rant. So, Carlo, Mike, Lindsay, hope you're doing well. I think there's going to be a major resurgence of organized labor starting in 2026. So, God bless you. Fingers crossed. Keep up the good fight. Blah blah blah. I won't be here because I've had it with this country. Okay, so let's do a reading now. This is a section that is told in the voice of a character named Rowena. Rowena is 13 years old. She has begun to undergo puberty while her brother Bo was on a deployment in Afghanistan. Her mother is a meth addict, and she helps her mother clean houses. That's how they make money. And they have just gotten a job, this mansion owned by a man named Janus Vanderfluge or Vanderflug or Janus Vanderflug. He's Dutch. Okay. So here we go. I discovered my clit while watching Maury Povich. I was suspended from school for suggesting on a YouTube comment thread that Anonymous hack into a school board member's computer and pull before and after photos of her secret gastric bypass. Then, when Anonymous didn't respond, doing it myself. Hey, not quite. I'm not a hacker. We cleaned her house. She was a real snotty bitch about it, too. She made us buy surgical scrub wraps for our shoes because the squeak of our sneakers on the waxed parquet drove her shih tzu berserk. When my mom asked if she could be paid in cash, she told my mom only street people did that. She left the photos on a file on her desktop, and the photos contradicted the chain of lies she'd posted about how she'd had gallbladder surgery and how mindful eating and acupuncture had saved her life. She was making a shit ton on the side selling Herbalife and reviewing and plugging colonics clinics online. Because apparently neither end is sacred when it comes to middle-aged divorcees making money in the suburbs. Meanwhile, our property taxes climbed to $4,500 a year while Bo was overseas. She asked me if I'd ever read Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. I asked her if she'd ever read anything that Oprah hadn't first. She was going to write a book about it, her phony transformation, some Elizabeth Gilbert a la Sue Paul's bullshit. So I just forwarded the photos along. Part of my suspension mandated that my mom confiscate my laptop for 2 weeks. From spite, she also padlocked all my books and put them in Bo's footlocker. So I was stuck with cable, and I decided to self educate the only way that was left to me with my hands. It wasn't the first time I had come. Before she is able to find that little buried trackball mouse of flesh manually, the bathtub faucet, not diamonds, is a girl's best friend. I'd come thousands of times, legs sprung open like a wishbone to the lukewarm pounding. I'd summoned psychopumps and horses. I lifted my crotch and offered it like the pelt that makes a drum. I stretched it tight and bore it squeezed up to the charging siphon of Missouri River waters coming through the tap. Change that. I imagine the waters turning into the hooves of Sleipnir, eight-legged steed of the god Odin. Sleipnir, whose name means the sliding one in Old Norse. I closed my eyes and imagined all eight of Sleipnir's legs taking their various fast-thumping course through and in me, us together carrying that god on his own ecstatic travels through the cosmos. Inside my thighs, the 9 worlds. Up my ass, at the base of my spine, the root of the world tree, Yggdrasil. I wasted gallons on orgasms, passive and streaming one into another like so many shamanic visitations par excellence. I suddenly understood why footage of refugees and ads for international aid organizations was full of starving, bloated, dusty brown babies. Their bellies reminded me of those things you use with murine to clean earwax out of your ears. I'd always looked at those weak, ululating, fly-pocked bulbs and thought, oh, black humanity, who can possibly get busy conceiving in war-torn places? If in such circumstances as bedeviled South Sudan, breeding had seemed more akin to picking a scab, now, post-faucet coitus, it seemed necessary as driftwood in a raging flood. Obviously, if no relief of any kind was in sight, pleasure of the last resort might be resorted to even more. My life was hard, not South Sudan fleeing the Janjaweed hard, but its own kind of lonely girl hard, and that was all the more reason to come, and come again. When you come, you expand and the world shrinks. It tames, it goes limp and quiet, if even for a few seconds. Plus, coming is free. I don't know if mom ever inferred that by my excessive bathing I was doing more than rinsing off a day's work. If she heard me whimper in waterlogged pulses like a baby alligator signaling its mama, she never said anything. Before you took it over, Janice's house had that mysterious pasty drear I'd come to associate with many of the McMansions over the crests of the Black Hills, but it was even more of a distilled flaunt against its middle American geography. I still recall the first time I saw it, set like a bishop's mitre at the end of a long, winding uphill driveway. The house emerged all ashen white from a sort of tunnel of pine and large-leaf oaks. It was made of a faux English stone, which was somehow both rustic and sparkly. The gravel driveway ended in a circle and was studded with shrubs and pruned to an exactitude, their dark green cones poofed and stiff like pointed napkins in a formal restaurant. A series of gardens spoking out from the driveway were too rigorously controlled and coiffed to be anything but creepy. Stiff topiaries were arranged in curly queues, like oversized toy soldiers in the Nutcracker. I never knew plants to look so robotic before. The only design flaw on the pseudo estate was how narrowly these gardens corseted the house, as the land was insufficient to the aspirations of the owner or designer. If you were rich in South Dakota, you had a swimming pool in addition to your stables. If you were rich and pretending not to come from South Dakota, you had fountains, gazebos, Lichtensteins instead of Steinways. You had orchids, not daffodils, in your foyer. But most of all, you could be rich in South Dakota and live in a cracker box as long as you had land. Janus's house had all of the Architectural Digest weirdo accoutrements, but he didn't have the land to support it. In town, the house's Vincent Price slash West Egg patina had made it and Janus the butt of speculative rumors. Eccentric, Eurotrash, homo, etc. I still get a tingly rush when I hear the crunch of car tires slowing on the white, sparkly gravel. Concrete is common. Gravel is Olympian. Please don't pave it over. Millionaire, pervert, gift horse, they should have said. I would not have listened. I should have been afraid, but I wasn't.